What up, YouTube Live? How's it going? Wow. You know what? I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. WandaVision is a fascinating show, and tonight's episode, or today's episode, is another testament to that. It was just like, wow. And after not having received any Marvel movie last year at all, um, to have a Marvel presentation in this kind of way, Marvel Studios, where it looks so cinematic and the visual effects are top notch and the storyline is compelling and you're so immersed in it. It just it just blew me away. It blows us away. And today's episode is no different. Um, yeah, let's talk about season 1, episode 6. Um, as always, with any review of episodes that already air, this video contains spoilers. So heads up, there will be spoilers in this video. Let's start at the beginning. The the intro, the TV show. It was Malcolm in the Middle, right? It was totally Malcolm in the Middle. Life is unfair. But Malcolm in the Middle was like the year 2000. So I was a little disappointed that it jumped over the 90s, my era. I was hoping for, I don't know, a parody of Seinfeld or Friends or X-Files intro or something like that. But then again, I get why they went with Malcolm in the Middle because of Pietro's presence. Scarlett's brother. And there's a character in Malcolm in the Middle, I think the oldest brother, I believe, and that kind of is the equivalence of that character. Pietro is the equivalence of him. So I get it, but it's kind of just still bums me out that we didn't get to see any homage to 90s TV show. As far as the Halloween thing, it's cute, especially seeing Wanda and Vision wearing the costumes that the characters are supposed to be wearing in the comic books. This is what Scarlet and Vision look like in the pages or on the pages of the comic books. Of course, they don't look as cinematic. That's why uh, Scarlet Witch or Vision in the Avengers movies they wear a different outfit. But this is what they're supposed to look like. And the same goes with Pietro with his Halloween costume. It's sort of like a hand-me-down version of what you saw on Age of Ultron. Um, which leads me to my next bullet point. Hey, I'm watching you, and they had The Incredibles in the theaters, which was released in 2004. Exactly, exactly. So it's around that era. So I was a little bummed out that it skipped over my era because I'm a 90s kid. I was like, no, they didn't do the 90s. I got a little. I feel like I got cheated out of that one. So anyway, um, let's talk a bit about Evan Peters, not Peter Evans, Evan Peters as Quicksilver. Their excuse is that, oh, the role got recast. That's their excuse for the different face. Um, if you ask me which one is my favorite Quicksilver between Aaron Taylor Johnson and Evan Peters, I've always liked Evan Peters better. In those X-Men movies, with because he was wearing those goggles on, and his Silver Fox is a lot more white, and Silver Fox hair, I should say. And I like the way, I know he's not supposed to be named or mentioned anymore, but I'm gonna say it right now just for once. I like the way that director Bryan Singer plays off the speed of Evan Peters' Quicksilver in those X-Men movies. by making everybody else kind of stationary, as opposed to making Evan blurry speed, kind of like the Flash. So I like that style. I like that method. I like the goggles. Of course, right now he doesn't wear the goggles. He's just an embodiment of Aaron Taylor Johnson, Quicksilver, if you will. And they had this thing in today's episode about the accent. Like, what happened to their accent? He's like, that is a good question, because they're supposed to have accent. At least in Age of Ultron, they were thick, the accents. So, but it's cool. I think Evan Peters, the way he plays his version of Quicksilver in this one, very comical. Very stereotypical uncle. It's like, oh, it's very chill and laid back. Don't worry, don't stress yourself too much, kind of guy. Um, but he does step out over the line when he says, like, hey, your husband can't die twice. By the way, that footage when he said, it's not like your husband can die twice, that footage got leaked a few weeks ago on YouTube. So somebody, I don't know how they got their hands on that footage, and of course that YouTube channel got taken down by Disney instantly, immediately after. But it went viral for a few minutes, and that's how people knew that Evan Peters was gonna show up, even before Elizabeth Olsen said, like, oh, there's gonna be big cameo the size of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. People are like, we already knew it's Evan Peters. We saw the leak footage, but she didn't know. So that when he said it's not like your husband can die twice, that was like, yeah, it's an old thing. We've seen it. Um, by the way, I got a treat for you guys. Let me go right now before I forget. If you go to YouTube, as you know, Evan Peters is also famous for American Horror Story. You go Rama Screen, you go Evan Peters, you go interview. I interviewed Evan Peters once. There you go. For the movie Pirates of the Somalia with the guy from the Somalian actor from Captain Phillips, Barkat Abdi. Let's just fast forward. There you go. Do you see it? Let me make it big. That's me. That's Evan Peters. That's Barkat Abdi, and that's the director of The Pirates of Somalia. So it's 14 minutes long. We had a very lengthy conversation. So go check out my interview with Evan Peters, Quicksilver, on my YouTube channel. All right, so back to my notes. By the end of the episode, so as you saw, Vision tries to get out of the force field of this town, Westview, which kind of reminds me of M. Night Shyamalan's series a few years ago called Wayward Pines. Remember that on Fox? Terrence Howard. So it's like a faux or fake town, very Stepford Wives utopia, but it has barriers. You can't go beyond the barriers, and there are certain rules that you can't, like, it's all just kind of make believe. Kind of like the town on the series The Boys. Homelanders. Yeah. Homelander has his kid in this town that's protected by barriers. So it's similar to that. But at the end of today's episode, Wanda, in order to save Vision, because when Vision tries to get out, as you know, it doesn't work really well on Vision because Vision is supposed to be dead. so he's only alive within the perimeters of the town. So Wanda has to kind of extend those perimeters wider, larger, and you see the changes or the transformation that happens to the people caught up in that whole process, and it's just funny because you wonder, like, oh my god, who is that FBI agent gonna turn into? And many of them turn into, like, apparently carnies and clowns. which cracked me up. I was like, "What is going on?" But yeah, that's a testament to, as I said earlier at the beginning of this video. I was like, man, it looks so movie like, it looks so cinematic, and it feels like there's a certain of what's the feeling? What's the word I'm looking for here? Like a sense of relief and joy at the same time, because we didn't get any Marvel stuff last year, none at all because of the pandemic. So to see Marvel in action in full force, with they spare no expense on this show. They make it so cinematic. To see that happening and just like it's so rewarding. As a fan, you're like, oh man, we missed this. We totally, we have missed this so much. It's so good to have that back. Um, but I'm gonna end on the substance of the story. Um, as far as Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo, obviously they're trying to pull something, um, trying to come up with a solution that's opposite from what the Sword is trying to do. Because Sword is like Sword, they're like it's led by this guy who sees everything like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like if you're a hammer, right? If you're a hammer, then all you see are nails. That old saying. So that's how his leadership approaches are. And so Monica and Jimmy and Darcy are trying to come up with something, an alternative to fix this whole situation. So I don't have a lot of strong opinions about that, but to the point of Wanda and Vision, clearly now, on episode 6, there are 3 episodes left to the season 4 finale. And with Wanda blasting her own brother like that, clearly now there's rift going on, right? Rift going on between Wanda and Vision, rift going on between Wanda and everybody around her. Um, and now, I mean, I won't be surprised if the boys would start smelling, their sons would start smelling something fishy. Like, what's going on, Dad? What's going on, Mom? And they're gonna want to have a talk with them. Um, it's starting to unravel now. This town, she can only keep this up for so long. No matter how much how wider the parameters that she extends it to, is like it, now Vision knows. Everybody's gonna suspect. Everybody's gonna figure out. And now, of course, you see Agnes in the car, like, oh my God, like, you're one of the Avengers. Help us, help us. So it's starting to crack. It's starting to crack this far reality, this world that Wanda has created as her safe space. So that she can have this picket fences, nuclear family life with Vision. It's starting to crack, and it's the gap is widening, and there's 3 episodes left, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. I think it's the whole let's play lovey-dovey husband wife kind of thing. It's not gonna hold up anymore. I think Vision is this close to being really, really pissed off, and I don't blame him at all. So is Wanda a bad guy? Is Wanda a good guy? I think we all can agree that it's so complicated. It's very complex, and yeah, I'm so appreciative that we have this kind of show that's so character driven. And like you feel like you want to come back for it every week. Like, yes, it's so good. It's so good. So well written. And that's it. I think those are the bullet points that I have. Such a fantastic, another spectacular episode. I cannot wait for what's gonna happen next. What do you think about today's episode? What is your I mean, do you agree or disagree with my assessment? Did you like the whole Malcolm in the Middle skipping the '90s part? What did you think about Evan Peters? Is he a bit too much? He can be a bit too much, his version of Quicksilver. Aaron Taylor Johnson's version of Quicksilver is a bit toned down compared to Evan Peters, definitely. So, what do you think about him? And what's your theory on what's gonna happen in the remainder 3 episodes left in this season 1? What do you think is gonna happen? Obviously, obviously, Sword organization Sword, they got nothing compared to. I mean, they can't stand up to Wanda's powers. They can try puffing their chest. Then it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna break that barrier. We're gonna break the force field. We're gonna infiltrate. We're gonna do a raid. They can talk big, but at the end of the day, they're not as powerful as Wanda. So it's all up to Jimmy and Darcy and Monica to come up with something. Definitely. Um, yeah, Malcolm in the Middle, Chris Boy. That's what I mentioned. Yes, it's Malcolm in the Middle. So they pretty much skipped the '90s, which kind of bums me out. Uh, I'm a '90s kid. I was like, whoa, they just skipped the whole decade there and just go straight to the year 2000. So, but yeah, that's Malcolm in the Middle. So yeah, obviously Sword is lame compared to Wanda. They can't do jack. Um, and Monica Rambeau, I believe she's the second Captain Marvel. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I'm a DC guy. Marvel, I'm more of a late bloomer. But in today's episode, they kind of hint that they kind of mention Monica's connection to Captain Marvel, which begs me to wonder: is this Monica Rambeau, is she gonna cross over and show up in Captain Marvel 2, the movie, the big screen Captain Marvel 2 that's in development? I know that Doctor Strange is supposed to have the Doctor Strange sequel is supposed to have a connection to this WandaVision, right? We haven't seen that yet, but at least that's the theory out there. But yeah, that's an interesting tidbit. In today's episode, they mentioned Monica's connection to Captain Marvel. So yeah, it's all up to Jimmy and Monica and Darcy to figure this out, because obviously Sword Sword cannot hold up against Wanda in today's episode. Wanda is just like, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna turn you all into carnies and clownies. You're like, what are you gonna do now, huh? But yeah, another spectacular episode. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in on this chat. Thank you. I'm watching you and Chris Boy for chatting with me. And let's rock this.